Hello, this is what you call your Atlantic cod right here. You tell him because he's brown, and you got little spots all over him. And you get a very large head compared to the size of the body. And you get a white pencil line running through him, see it? It's called an equilateral line. I don't know if you ever noticed before, but every fish got one, eh? This is the one I got here. It's called a market cod. The same thing over here in the case, this big brown one. This one's called a steak cod. So if you have the baby cod, this is called a scrod cod. And the medium size is called a market cod. And the big one's called a steak cod, the same fish. And he got a pencil line through them. Some got a white one, some got a checkered one like the blue one up here, and some got a black one. But they all got a pencil line running through them. It's something like a water line on a boat. It's a balance point. And also he can tell temperature through that. When the water gets too warm, he'll move out farther and go down deeper. And also he can feel vibrations through this. That's why it's so hard to catch a fish in a brook with your bare hands, because he can feel you coming, eh? Unless you're right quick to grab him. He'll get away from you, eh? And also you get that little barbel on his chin. See a little whisker called a barbel? Because he's a bottom feeder, and he's a scavenger, and he can find a food on the bottom of the ocean, because this acts like a little sensor or a radar detector. As it goes along the bottom, he can find the food, see? Now this one got a barbel, because he's a scavenger. But now this one over here, the blue one, this blue one here, see it? This one's called a pollock, and some people call it a Boston bluefish. And when you cut them open, the flesh is a little bit darker. But when Jewish people come in the store, a lot of religious people, they won't buy a cod because he's a scavenger, but they'll buy the pollock because he can feed up further, eh? And he got no barbel on his chin, see? But this one has, eh? Now, if you and I was going out this morning to catch one of these fish, without a government license, the only thing we could use would be a hand line or a jigger, eh? And this is called your hand line right here. You got two hooks. Here's the other one, and got a weight onto it, and you bait it up. You use herring, mackerel, squid, or clams, eh? And this is your new modern hook that's out this last while back, about 5 years. It's a circle hook. See how the hook's bent 2 ways? And it improves your catch about 80%. So that's your hand line, and over here this is your jigger right here, well. Now you can bait that up, and you can let it be as is. You don't want to mess with bait, use a jig, eh? Just throw it overboard and let it slip through your hand like that till it hits the bottom of the ocean, and then you bring it up to 3 feet off the bottom, and when the boat makes that little move, you just give it a jig like that, eh? It just jigs along. And he'll come after a nickel flash in the water, look. Okay, so use your hand lines or your jig, eh? But the big draggers, when they catch the fish, like the one I got here today, they use a big net. They tow a big net behind them and you catch them in a net. Now, it's not how long you got your fish that counts. Just what people don't understand. It's the way you look after them, okay? And the 3 basic rules is time, temperature, and the way you handle your fish, eh? And what I mean by that is we could have went out this morning, 6 o'clock, you and I, and caught a codfish like this on our hand lines and jigs, and brought it in here and laid it on the dock with the gut into it, and the blood into it, and no ice, and all that heat out there from the sunlight, and spoil in 8 hours. Oh, you can keep it from 8 to 12 days, eh? Because the fish draggers stay out to sea 8 to 12 days. And this is what you got when you come in, eh? And the first thing you do as soon as the fish hits the deck of the boat, the number one thing you got to do is cut the throat to bleed them, okay? You got to get that blood out of them. Because if you don't, a bump on the outside with the blood in the fish means a bruise on the inside, eh? So you got to cut the throat to bleed them, and then rip the belly open, and tear the gut out, eh? Because if you don't tear the gut out, it's a little yellow green sac in there, a little gold about that big, and that'll break and run all through them. And it'll stain them, give them a yellow, green, gray look, and make them right bitter, eh? So you got to bleed them, gut them, and this is the key factor right here. You got to pack them in ice. Without the ice, you don't stand a chance, eh? So the 3 things is time, temperature, and the way you handle your fish. Bleed them, gut them, and ice them, quick as you can, okay? And if you're going in a supermarket and you want to pick up a fresh one, or a good one, the two things you should look for is, number one, the clear, shiny eyes, look. The clear, shiny eyes, that means a fresh one. Because once the fish lays around for a while, they turn right white and milky, and they cloud right over, eh? You get that look, something like a cataract look that people get on their eyes, eh? So you want clear, shiny eyes, and red gills, eh? These things right here that he breathes with, eh? Red gills. Clear, shiny eyes, red gills. Because once the fish lays around for a while, the gills will turn from red to brown. That means second grade. And then from brown to white. And when the gills get white, he's starting to spoil, eh? It's no good to buy him. So you want clear, shiny eyes, red gills. Okay? And if he was working on a fish plant today, he'd have two classes of fish to work with, most generally. He'd have what we call our barrel fish, like all these over here. Go round like a barrel, and get the eyes on both sides. From a trout to a shark, the same thing, eh? And then you got your sole family. Lemon sole, gray sole, halibut, flounders, skates, and they're all flat, with the eyes on top of the head, eh? So you have round fish or flat fish, eh? And to take the fillets off of this fish, basically takes about 5 cuts, eh? And I'll try to show you if I can do it. And the first cut is you take your knife, and you put your knife on this side of my fin, my side of the fin, look, over here. Because if I get on your side, then the nape bone's in the way, look. There. You're going to stay on my side of the fin. And then you got to go up around the head in a half a circle cut, look. Like a semicircle, see, like this, look. Now some people says, why don't you shoot right straight? I can't shoot straight because then the head bone's in the way, Harry. Okay. So I got to go up around that turn, like, eh? This is cut number 1 right here, look. Like that. See? In around the corner like that there, right? And if you was working in the fish plant today, those men and women, you'd be cutting around 150 to 200 pounds an hour, right? You'd have 4 or 5 of these fans heaped right full every hour just to keep your job from there up, eh? Okay? So that's cut number 1. Now cut number 2 is I'll use these fins here as a guide line. These are my dorsal fins, well, that's dead center of my fish. So I'm going to take my knife and come right down along the fins like this, well. That'll be my second cut. And then I'll turn my knife around and go back up again, eh? Okay? So we start all over. This is step number 1. And step number 2, you may see it in the mirror a little better. That's why the mirror's up there to help you out, like, eh? And then step number 2, come right down along the fins. And I'll just take my time and cut along, right? And I don't cut very deep at one time. Some people think they got my knife shoved way in here, but I haven't. I only cut about an inch deep at a time, eh? And I got a reason for this, and I'll show you later, eh? That was step number 1, and this is step number 2. Now as you come down along the fins, I can feel those bones there. I can feel those bones in the handle of my knife, eh? I can feel more than what I can see, okay? That's number 1, and that's number 2. And when I get at the bottom, I just twirl my knife around, look, like that. It's no big thing, eh? Just twirl my knife around. And when I hit for up, I'll take my thumb and roll my fillet up a little bit, eh? Okay, let me see it in the mirror better, eh? And I go up. I lifted up my thumb a little bit, low. Okay? I'll just take my time to show you here, eh? See that? But you got to be gentle if you don't shove your thumb through the fillet. Because if you do, you'll break it, and then the foreman will be on your back hollering all day, eh? Because it goes second grade, eh? So you got to be gentle when you roll it up with your thumb. And if I don't roll it up with my thumb, so you would lay flat like that, eh? And then you have to bend over, and it'll look in like this, eh? And after all, you have to hit it, your neck and back wouldn't take it, eh? It's easy to stand there and just go like that, eh? Now this is why I didn't cut very deep, look. I made number 1, I come down number 2, and when I come up number 3, I knew I'd run into the rib cage, look. Can you hear it? See? You're just like a person, you get a set of ribs on each side, eh? If I roll them over, you get a set of ribs here and a set of ribs here, see them? And I didn't want to dull my knife. That's why I didn't shove my knife in very deep, okay? But it was dull enough, eh? So on number 4, I'll stick my knife in behind the rib cage with an inch deep, and I'll ride right up over it, okay, like that, look. I'll ride right up over it like that. And when I ride up with that rib cage, that fillet will fall your way. So you won't let go yet, look. See that? Now this is one good way to pick up a fish. If he's alive and he's wiggling around, you're scared of him, just reach down, grab him right between your 2 eyes, look. You can pick him right up, look. You're not going to drop him as quick. And he can't bite you, because his mouth's on this side, and your hand's back here, look, if you're scared of him. Just take your teeth, don't fool yourself, look. See? Okay? Now number 4, up for the rib cage, look. See that fillet fall on your side? See? Now on my side when I was cutting, I used those 3 dorsal fins to guide me. Now that I'm over on your side, I'll use the 2 anal fins to guide me, look. Right here, the stomach is, see? What I mean by that is, I'll lean out over and just look at them, and make sure the tip of my blade's coming down along the fins, look. I'm not out here, I'm not up here, I'm going right down along there, okay? So this is number 5, the last cut. See him right there, look. Okay? And I won't save the nape. I won't save the nape unless you ask me to do so, okay? Because lots of times in the fish plant, we used to cut the napes off separate and put them in a smokehouse and smoke them sometimes. And after you get in smoke for a certain amount of time, they turn right a golden brown, eh? And when you open up the door and look in, they look more like Kentucky Fried Chicken hanging out than they did fish, eh? Because this is where the fattiest part of your fish lies, right here in the napes. So if you're on a diet, you're better off eating fish because it's high in protein and low in fat, eh? Because most of the fat lies right here, look. Okay? So this is step number 5, right here, look. I'll lay my knife flat, lay flat on the backbone, look. And come right down along the fins, look. See? There's my fillet there, look. Okay? So if you want a good fresh one, you want clear, shiny eyes, you get the head onto it, look. And red gills, that's the thing you look for in a supermarket. So if you just got the fillet, then the thing you look for is the color, alright? You want red gills, but you want a white fillet, nice and white, okay? Because once the fish lays around for a while, it gets like a little yellow streak on the outside edge, like a pencil line, eh? Something the old newspapers get, and it starts working its way into the center, eh? Okay, so you want a nice and white, nice and firm, and no cracks. So the biggest enemy I got here today, really, is the doors opened up like that, eh? The heat coming in through the door is going to crack my fillets after a while, okay? That's why when you see a fish plant, you go in a fish plant, you always get the doors closed. Or you got them plastic ribbon strung doors hanging down like that. You would have seen those already, didn't you? Like ribbon strips hanging down. You can look in and out, make sure nobody will run to you with a forklift or anything. And when you walk through them like this, they wrap right around you, right? And that keeps the heat out, okay? So you want them nice and white, nice and firm, no cracks, and no blood streaks, okay? That'd be a number 1 fillet. That's why the ice is so important on your fish too, eh? Because it helps the fish from cracking up, eh? And you got to keep fish 15 to 20 degrees cooler than meat in order to keep them from getting bacteria into them, eh? And I'll tell you more about that later, eh? So I'll lay my fillet on the ice, okay? Now we go on the other side. Now over here you get 2 choices on this side, okay? You can start the tail and work your way up like this. But the only thing in the winter months, when you got frost in your fish, your knife could hit the frost like your car when it hits the ice, and it could skid up through and cut you across the wrist and jump up over the top of your hands, okay? So to make it a little safer for yourself, you can put your fingers in behind the gills and take your thumb and stick right in his eye socket, well, it fits right in. That gives you a good grip, okay? So now it's your choice. You can still keep cutting up, or you can cut down. You get 2 choices on this side. But first you got to start off with the same cut we did over here in behind the nape, look. Like this. It'll be the same thing. This is number 1. And get out along the fins with number 2. Well, pick up your fillet, your thumb, go back up number 3. Jump up with your rib cage, number 4. And down on the other side, number 5. See? There's the other side. And you roughly get back, if I set up a little better than I am right here, I'd roughly get back with 45% yield off of that fish, eh? 45% flesh you'll get back, eh? And the frame's not wasted. The frame pot here, the skeleton pot, it goes what you call fish meal. You put it in a big worm grinder and it's all ground up, and then it goes through a cooker, and then it goes through a dryer, and when this comes out, it looks like yellow-gray baking powder, eh? And you bag it up in real big bags, and they sell it for cattle feed, cat food, dog food, and fertilizer, eh? And on days when you're cutting the real big codfish, like the one over here in the case, that big one, called a steak cod, there'd be a man or a woman at the end of the table with a fork, and they'd be saving the big frames, eh? Put the big heads onto them, and you cut out the tongues and cheeks. Have you ever heard that before? Cod tongues and cheeks? And I'll try to show you how to do it. Eh? And the 2 things you got to have when you start is a small knife and a cotton glove. And I put the cotton glove on more or less to give me a better grip, because the fish got that body slime onto them, okay? That body slime. You touch one, it's very slippery, and the cotton glove gives me a better grip, eh? Okay? So I need a cotton glove and a small bladed knife, eh? And I'll show you why in a minute, okay? You just lay him on his back and squeeze, and it makes a little crunch right here. Well, that holds him open for me, okay? Then I make one cut on this side, look. And that's very thin. You look right through it, look. See the knife? Just like a tissue, eh? And make one cut on that side. Okay? And then stick your finger through the 2 holes, look. Because if you don't stick your finger through the 2 holes, it'll drop down in the hollow, and it wouldn't be able to get at it, look. It'll just wobble around, see? So you got to break it open, make a cut there, a cut here, and stick your finger through the 2 holes. Okay? Get a better grip. Now this is why I got the small knife. Because when you do this job, you can never ever forget you got your finger in there, okay? Because the knife don't care what it cuts, eh? It can cut you as quick as cutting the fish, eh? Some people might think, okay, I'll pick up this big knife and do a better job. But once you get it in there, you haven't got room to turn it, see? You're going to cut yourself a lot quicker, eh? So the little knife is less chance. It can happen, but there's less chance, okay? So then you put the blade looking up to your face, blade to your face, we call it, look. The sharp edge is looking up at me. And I get in behind and cut up towards myself, okay? And just take your time, be gentle, like, eh? He's coming up, look. Don't make no big slash like that. Because if you do, you'll cut that old bone off there, see it? So if you be gentle with your knife, it rides up around it. You don't put too much pressure onto it, okay? So first I was cutting up, then I'll turn my knife around and cut down. See? Here in the cod tongue, see it wiggle? See? And you take your cod tongues, you go ahead and dust them in flour, and then you fry them in butter till they get right crispy, and then you have baked potato with that and cucumber salad, eh? You know, so it's a big treat up around here, eh? So those are tongues, and here's the cheeks right here, look. Tongues and cheeks, that's the way you ask for them in a restaurant, cod tongues and cheeks. And here's the cheeks right here, look. You stick them below the eye and make a half a circle cut. Okay? See? Once you stick them below the eye, it goes around automatic by itself, look. Just like a slave when it takes off. Because the rest is all bone, look. Hear it? Okay? And then for the skin and the peel it, you just take your finger and your thumb, pinch it on the bottom, and pull up onto it. Like that. See, there's the skin, look. And here's the cheeks right there, look. Okay? So you get one tongue and 2 cheeks. There's the one here. Now we get the other one out on the other side, eh? Same thing. Let's stick them below the eye and make a half a circle cut, huh? And take your thumb and finger and pinch it and pull up into it, eh? So the cheeks, you can fry those up in butter too, but a lot of people take and put them in a little saucepan and put a little butter into it, and a little onion, and salt and pepper, and a little bit of water, and put a cover into them and they steam them, eh? That's another way you can make them up. Now this is what you call the swim bladder, or the air bladder right here in the stomach of the fish. And when he's alive, this is right full of air, eh? And he can adjust the air in that, so to move up and down and back and forth, eh? And also in stormy weather, he'll swallow little pebbles to help keep him down, eh? just like a skin diver hooking weights on his belt. The fish can take them down to the bottom more. And in nature, got them geared up when you don't want them, he can spit them up, okay? And years ago, the people used to cut these out, and he called these sounds. Have you ever heard that before? Fish sounds? It's the air bladder in the fish, the swim bladder. We call them sounds right here, look. See? See? You scrape these off and clean them all off, look. And you can salt them down, or you can fry them up very fresh in butter, and you taste something like chicken eggs a little bit, okay? And that's your sounds in the fish right there. And most fish, the heart's right here in the throat, see? The fish's heart's right here in the throat, look. So when you cut the throat sometime when they're alive, you can see the little heart pumping, eh? Okay? And if you hold it up the right way, it'll look something like a valentine, look. See that? That's the fish's heart, see? Okay? And now I'll try to show you how you can tell the age of a fish, okay? There's one way you can do it. In behind the eyes, there's a little oil pocket in the head on both sides of the eyes. And in that little oil pocket, there's a little calcium bone about that big. And it looks like a leaf on a tree, and that's floating in the oil, eh? And you cut those bones out. And I'll try to find them right here, eh? See them there floating in the oil, or? See that? Here they are right there, look. The ear bones in the fish, eh? And there's the other one. See? I'll lay him on the table for you. It's a little calcium bone. And you take those little bones, and you soak them in alcohol for about an hour, and then you cut them in half, and you put them in a microscope, and you count the grooves into them, eh? And they can tell how old the fish is. That's one way they can do it, eh? So this here frame, that'll go for fish meal, eh? Okay. So let's say you got a codfish and you want to go ahead and put them on a barbecue and barbecue them. Or you want to put them in the oven and bake them. But first you want to go ahead and take the scales off of them. So one way you can do it is take the dull edge of your knife, like this, and hold them by the tail and work your way up, look. Like this here, look. See them coming off, look. That's one way you can do it, eh? And if it make it a little easier for yourself, if you're home in the kitchen trying this, you can put underneath the water tap and make them wet, eh? Like this here, look. Make them a little wet. And they'll hold the scales down and help them from flying up in your face and all your ceiling tiles, eh? It'll help. The water will help a little bit, eh? And then you make yourself a fish scaler. All you need is bare corks on a board, look. Put the nails through and then clench them over, see? And that makes a fish scaler, eh? And just hold them with the tail and work your way up, look. But you gotta go from the tail up, see? Because if you go from the head down, nothing happens, look. You'll be here all day and go no place, eh? You gotta go from the tail up. Okay? And you don't press hard because you'll crush your fish. You just sort of slide it like that. Okay? See, there's the scales. Huh? Now I'll show you the side that's done. This is the side that's done. If you was home doing, take your time to do a little better maybe. Huh? That's the side that's done. See the difference now? Look. See? You're losing the color, look. See? And nothing's wasted in the fish plant. So you'll save the livers of the belly if they're told to. And they save the livers and they cod liver oil capsules, eh? And years ago, they used to take the livers and put them in a big barrel and stand them outside in the sunlight and fill it up with salt water and put boards across the top so the cats can get in and get drowned, eh? And after a while, the sunlight would draw the oil right to the top, eh? And then the old fishermen used to scoop off that oil and put it in a big steel pot out on the beach and light a fire under it. And you used to get that red ochre. It's like a powdered rock that the Indians used to use for wall paint one time. And they take the red ochre and put it into the hot cod liver oil and stir it all up. And that's why the bonds and the fish racks was always red. He said that made a paint. They painted them red, eh? Okay? And a lot of houses had the red ochre on the roof, painted red. And then on the sides, you'd have whitewash, lime and salt mixed up with water, eh? Okay? So you save the livers, They save all the scales, eh? None of the scales are wasted. We throw a little salt over them in the fish plant to save them. And they're using the scales today for costume jewelry, fingernail polish. You put it in the highway sign, so when your car lights shine onto them, it glows more from the car lights. And they also use it today to make lipstick, eyeshadow. And the latest thing to make note of is that lip gloss the girls use, that wet look, eh? That's what it is, fish scales, eh? And this is also another way to tell how old he is. You can take one of those scales, like that there, and put it under the microscope, and you count the circles into it. So when you look down inside the glass, it looks like a tree sawed off, eh? You count the circles. You can tell the age that way. You can tell the age with the scales, or with those little ear bones hanging on the table there, eh? The orthilus is the real name, eh? Okay? Fish got a body slime. You ever touch one? He's right slippery. And this is why he can live in the ocean. He got scales, and he got a body slime, eh? That's why you and I can't stay in the bathtub that long, or in swimming. You get all white and wrinkly and funny, and we got to get out, eh? But he can stay in forever and a day, okay? The body slime protects him while he's living, but the minute he dies, that body slime turns to bacteria and wants to eat him right up, eh? Because fish got a different bacteria until what meat got, okay? So that's why you need the ice. Keep the fillets from cracking, keep the fillets chilled, and protect them from the body slime, eh? Okay? Now I'll try to show you how to take the skins off the fillets, alright? How to skin them out? Too sharp. There's the skin, okay? And a half-decent fillet in the supermarket with the skin off of it, they'll pick it up with the tail and give it a little wiggle like that, and it shouldn't fall apart, okay? It's a good fresh one, except no cracks into it. No cracks, no blood streaks, nice and white, and nice and firm. So give it a little wiggle and it shouldn't fall apart, okay? And you save all the skins today in the plant. Nothing's wasted, eh? All the skins are saved today, and they're making men's ties out of them. Can you see it? Men's ties and belts, and hat stands, eh? And they're making women's purses and dresses and swimsuits, well. Fish skin swimsuits. Okay? And I'll try to show you what I'm doing here in a minute, alright? So this is step number 1, right here. You can buy the fish as is with the gut taken out. They call them gutted or hid-on round fish, eh? 65 cents a pound. That's step number 1. And then you got your skin-on fillets, and that's step number 2. And then number 3, you get your skinless fillet, look. And the last and final, you'd have skinless, boneless, eh? You ever take those when you got a fish home from a supermarket, you always got a bunch of bones in the hid part of your fillet? Have you noticed that when you get home? You got between 15 to 17 bones in here, eh? So you can stick an apple on. And I'll show you an easy way to get them out after a while. You're going to hang with me long enough, eh? So first I'll show you how to skin them up, okay? So there are only 2 simple steps in skinning the fish, alright? 2 steps, and this is step number 1. You just make a little cut to go down and see the skin, like. And you're watching with your eyes what you're doing, and in the handle of the knife you can feel what you're doing, eh? Right here, eh? See the skin right there? Now here's the mistake you're going to make home in the kitchen. When you get this far, you'll want to keep going, and you got this effect, look. Never do that, you can't hang fast to him. As soon as you push it, he runs down the board, eh? Because you haven't got the right grip onto him, eh? So here's step number 1. Here's the secret in skinning the fish, right here. Pick up the tail skin and place it between your 2 fingers like a cigarette, okay? Well, and just flip it over. See? Like a cigarette. And flip it over. And when you close your hand, your thumb will automatically go on top of it, look. And pinch it off, okay? This way here, you don't stand a chance, look. You wouldn't be able to hold it. And bare hand, you would be that much worse, eh? It's right slippery, right greasy, look. So pick it up like a cigarette, that's step number 1. Flip it over and close your hand, okay? Now the next mistake you'll probably make home in the kitchen is you probably get your fillet in the middle of your board like this and get your hip on the board to get relaxed for some reason, eh? And then try to skin them up and it'll never work like this one. Because you're too close into the board and your knuckles are underneath the handle of your knife, look. See See, you can't get the blade down. See, down and sneak the finger right under it, look. See? So step number 2, this is step number 1, cigarette thing. Step number 2 is bring your fillet right to the edge of the board, look. Step back, look. Like that, see? And if you think it's going to drip on your floor, like women here already saying, I'm not doing that, it's going to drip on my floor, right? You know, put a piece of newspaper here or cardboard or something. Right? See, when you're back like this, you lay your knife right flat, look. See, my hands are free, look. So once a step ahead, I can't leave my hands back here, look. Same old problem. So number 1 is the way you get the grip, the cigarette thing, and number 2, bring it to the edge of your board, okay? Look. And that's all you're doing is pushing that knife down the board like this, look. You keep the blade flat. You don't roll it or anything. You keep it right flat. You're not cutting anything, really. You're just pushing it down the board, and as you push on the knife, you pull on the tail skin at the same time. It's like a push and pull thing, okay? Like push, pull, keep the knife flat, push, pull. Okay? It's no big thing once you get the hang of it, okay? Let's skin the fillets. I'll skin up another one, then I'll show you how to take the bones out of it, okay? I'll skin this one up. Then you might say, okay, that's what happens if I break it off, you might say. You might just happen to roll your wrist like and break the skin off like that, eh? So a lot of people turn it around, you get in a half a panic, like, and you try to cut it off like this, right? And that's wrong, eh? And then some people try to tear it off like this here, and that's wrong, eh? So if you're losing this end, just pick it up and turn it around and catch it on the other end. But you just do it a little different, okay? You just cut down so that you see the skin. It's sort of a bluish look, like, look, see it? Now lay your knife flat and hold fast that little piece there with your fingers, look. And just wiggle your knife back and forth as you go down the board, look. Okay. Okay. And then you say the little piece and do whatever you want with it, eh? Mind the salt. Okay? And now I'll take the bones out for you, okay? So you'll bone the fish. This is the last and final step. So you'll have skinless, boneless. That's as far as you can take it, okay? And you got between 15 and 17 bones here in your fish, look. And I'll show you an easy way to get them out, okay? See how big they are? Look. That'd choke you pretty quick if you missed it, eh? So I'll show you an easy way to get them out. See? Okay, we're going to bone the fish. Now, if you was in the fish plant, they give you 30 days, something like that, to figure this one out, right? Okay? So first you're going to figure which is the head from the tail, all right? Like this, it's no big problem. And there's the eyes, that's the head, right? And this is the tail back here, right? And once you lay your fish on the board like that, people get mixed up, eh? So the best way to look at it is the thin pointy part is the tail, the thin pointy part, and the thick part's the head, look. Because that's important, because all the bones are always going to be in the head part of your fillet, eh? So that's one way to avoid bones, just by fish tails, eh? So once you cut that fillet in half, you're destroying the look, and the value of it changes, and you pay a big price for the tails, eh? But out in the plant, like a lot of fish tails, and it sells like old folks' homes and things like that, eh? For the older people, they're scared they might choke on the bones, so they buy fish tails. Okay? So the thin pointy part's the tail, and the thick part's the head, okay? And then the next thing we look for is a pencil line that runs through the center of the fish. Can you see it? It looks like we call it a lady's necklace right here, a woman's necklace. It's a pencil line that runs through every fish. See it back here? Look. See? Some got a white one, some got a checkered one, some got a black one. It runs right through the center of the fish, and that's where it is, right there, look. And all the bones are going to be laying in that chain. See it sticking up there? Okay, so first, the thin part's the tail, the thick part's the head, and you look for the pencil or the chain with your eyes, okay? You're going to use your hands and your eyes, eh? And the next step is lay your hand right flat across the head part of your fillet, eh? To feel for the bones, like this, eh? I'll tell you why you should lay your hand right flat across the head part of your fillet. Because here's your whole fish, look. See it? That's your whole fish, eh? And once you take a fillet off each side, you got a left and a right, okay? So when I open that up, the next time the chain's on this side, can you see it? And we ran the trouble in this in the fish plant with new people. They were just using the finger. They were saying, yes, there's the bones. Look. And they were cutting them out. And they were saying, there's none in this one. They were forgetting it was on the other side. Eh? So a lot of times you got to stop trains and planes and bring all the fish back. Because we had boneless marks on the box with a stamp on it from Canada, and they were only half boned. Eh? So you had to bring it all back home, do it over. So if you lay your hand flat, you can't make a mistake. You're going to feel the bones here or back here. Well, you might always get the right-handed fillet instead of the left-handed one, eh? See? Okay? So you just in pointy parts of the tail, you pick parts of the head, you look for the chain with your eyes, and you lay your hand flat like this. And once you find the bones, then your finger's going to be your guide, okay? You start the head part of your fish and work your way back that chain, well. And as you go back the chain, you can feel the bones tickle your finger, okay? It's just like rubbing over a toothbrush, the same feeling, eh? So go back the chain, I still feel them tickle my finger, well. Keep going back, it's way back to here, well. And after that it's right smooth, no more bones. Your hands are going to tell you, so your eyes might can see it, okay? Lay it flat and go back the chain, well. Now where it gets smooth, before you move this hand, mark it with your other one so you don't forget where you left off, okay? If you're going to be working with your knife hand, eh? There's no one having hanging by your side, you may as well put it to use, eh? Right there, eh? Okay? And then pick up your knife. You don't need nothing like this. So all you need is one of the little plastic handle ones you buy for $1 maybe to peel potatoes, eh? Little plastic handle knife. And then what you're going to do is make a cut from my finger right down through the fillet, look. From my finger to the head part of that fish on your side of the chain, okay? On your side of the chain. But keep close by it, okay? From my finger to the head part, look. Like that, look. And then make a cut from my finger to the head part of the fillet on my side of the chain. First I was over on your side, now I'm coming over on my side. But keep close by it, okay? Down along the bone like this. And if your fish starts to turn around on you, don't bother to keep walking around with your fish like this. Once you get started from this corner, then just move your hand over here to hold it, okay? Then you just spread your fish apart like this, and we call this a ribbon strip in the fish plant, and pull that little ribbon strip right out, well. And I made it a little big just to show you. Now all your bones should be in that little strip, okay? And now you got what you call a skinless V-bone, see the little V shape in the corner? A skinless V-bone fillet, eh? So that goes as far as you can take it, okay? So we came from 65 cents a pound, like he was right here. Now we're up to $3.85, $4 probably, eh? A skinless V-bone fillet. And your big seller is the fresh right here, right? You ship them right out today now in dry ice, and you put them in those styrofoam boxes over there, right? Your fresh fillets. Then be frozen, and after them to salted or smoked, eh? But your fresh is your big seller, okay? So in the fish plant, I wouldn't do it all, or a woman wouldn't do it all. One person would cut them, and the other person would skin them, and the next person would cut out the bones. And I have 2 more steps before they're taking out the fish plant. And the next step is checking for the fish bones. Now this is where a fish right here is different than an animal right here. Because if I hit an animal here, a little squirrel, no matter if it's a little squirrel or a big steer, okay? The flesh would be red and the bones would be white. Now here's where a fish is different than an animal. The bones is like a piece of glass, look. You see that? When I lay that down on top of that fish, see it blends right in. Where is it, look? See? It's hard to see it with your eyes, eh? And I kept track of it, mind you, look. See? That's where a fish is different than an animal. So the next step is checking for bones. And this is the way you do it. You step up on the table, and first you take off all your jewelry, and not allowed on that table with any rings on your hands, okay? And if I get a Band-Aid on my finger, if I'm cut, they'll take me off so I heal up and put someone else back in my place, eh? And you might have a little bucket of clean water like this, or a little tray of run water in front of you that's moving all the time. And this is how you check the bones in a fish. It'll be your job probably all day, eh? You dip your hand in the water like this, and pick the fish up with the tail like that, and just slide your hand down over like this. See? And you go with a sense of touch. Because your eyes won't see the bones, but your fingers are going to feel them, okay? See? And I missed one right there. See, then you take them out. Look, that you wouldn't see too quick with your eyes. And that's how you check the bones in the fish. Just hold up your fish and go like that, okay? Now we take the bones off the other side, okay? Don't forget, you had a left and a right, eh? The chain's over here on this side next time. Lay your hand flat, back the chain with your finger. Try to get smooth, mark it so you don't forget where you left off. Make a cut on your side of the chain, and then make a cut on my side of the chain. Okay? And pull out that little ribbon strip off. See? See little bones sticking off there like little whiskers? Can you see them? See? And these strips aren't wasted. They're all saved, and they're gathered up at every hour, and you got hundreds of pounds, eh? And what you do with them, you put them in a big gigantic press, a big stainless steel drum, and got all little pinholes in here as big as a needle. And inside's a rubber drum, and that's winding up right tight, eh? And it squeezes all that flesh off of these bones right out through those little holes, eh? And all the bones remain inside. And the flesh just looks like frog's eggs then. It's right thin, eh? So they scoop up the flesh, and they walk up the steps, and a big gigantic mix master they got, eh? And you put powdered onion and powdered potato into it, and you blend it all together. And this is where you get your fish cakes and your fish patties from, eh? These little strips of bones, eh? Okay? So now we got a skinless V-bone fillet. These are V-shaped in the corner. Look. Now we go to the last and final step. This is the last step in the fish plant. All the fillets are put in an X-ray table. And what it is, the whole table is made of plexiglass, like up here in the ceiling, like plexiglass, with light bulbs under it, eh? And when you put a fish under a light, the light shines right up through it, eh? And I'll try to show you here, this way here, look. And they're looking for parasites. See, here it's right dark, so when you hold it to the light, see the little dark spots in there showing up? Look. See them there in the middle? See? But the light be laying down here flat, eh? Then you got a little thing, something like this, a worm hook, and that'd be your job all day picking out the parasite, eh? See, there's a little one there, look. There's a little bit of a worm you pick up off of the seal. It looks like a little rubber band or a piece of coconut. Can you see it? Look. See? And that'd be your job to pluck it out, okay? They don't hurt you, but it looks bad, eh? And the problem is more worse in the summer than it is in the winter, eh? When the water gets cold and the temperature goes down, that problem is less. The problem's worse in the summer than what it is in the winter time, eh? Then you make sure you pluck that all out, eh? See? Not to get worked up about that much, because apple trees are the same way. You don't go up and cut the tree down, means you find a worm in your apple, you spray your trees, eh? And before they kill pigs, they inject them with some kind of thing, some kind of a liquid, and that makes them pass them, eh? So, the idea more or less is just to look bad, eh? You make sure you get them out, eh? And if the fillet was too full, you just chuck it down the drain and go with fish meal, and you go on to the next one, okay? So now we got our skunked bone and all clean. And I'm going to take mine over here and put them in the salt. I'm going to have boneless, skinless salt cod, okay? Right up here, look. Put them in that tray here, look. Okay? There's this. A boneless, skinless salt cod, okay? And what I'm going to do is put a layer of fish and a layer of salt, okay? And I got a proper mixture here. And my nickname is 50-50. And what we mean with that is a coarse salt with a fine mix in among it. Can you see it? Look. See the fine on the hand? Because if you use table salt alone, the fish get too rubbery, eh? You just get like rubber balls. You can bounce them right out the door, eh? And if you use the rock salt alone, in the warm weather, the warm summer weather, it takes too long to make a pickle. The fish may spoil. So over the years, the people decide to put the two of them together, fine with the coarse, and it makes a better pickle, quicker pickle, eh? You just put a layer of fish, and you shake out your salt, well, like that. There's no scallop scoop for a scoop, eh? Scallop shell. A layer of salt, a layer of fish, and a layer of salt, eh? Then I got to put a day's date in that. I haven't got it here right now, eh? You put a little tag on your pan to keep track of the time. Because I got to keep that in the salt for 2 weeks, 14 days, eh? Before the cured or struck. And what happens, mind you, is after 2 or 3 days, that salt will draw the moisture out of those fish, eh? And each day, after 2 to 3 days, you see the water rise and rise and rise till it floods the whole pan. Same as making sauerkraut, same thing, eh? It makes its own pickle. It's brewing right now like beer. It'll brew itself, like, eh? So after 2 or 3 days, the water will keep rising and rising. And you leave it in that pickle in a cool room for 14 days, 2 weeks, okay? Then after that, you get 3 choices a day you can do with it, eh? You can take them out and put them in freezer bags and freeze them. Or you can take them out like we're going to do, and after 14 days, you can try this now like in a little ice cream container with 1 fillet if you want to, but you got to have pickling salt. After 14 days, take it out of the salt and shake the pickle off of it, eh? And you put it into a pot of cold water and let it soak overnight while you're sleeping, okay? And then the next morning, drain off the water and put new water on and boil it, okay? So you have a pot of fish boiling and a pot of potatoes boiling. And in the meantime, you take a frying pan and you chop up onions and pork scraps and fry that up in butter, okay? The onions and the pork scraps are frying in butter while your fish and your potatoes are still boiling, okay? Then you drain off your fish, drain off your potatoes, and put in a big platter and pour your hot pork scraps and butters and onions all over it, eh? And maybe black olives and sour cream. And we call it house banking up here, eh? House banking. The Newfoundlanders call it fish and brews, and the Italians call it bacalao, eh? And that's the big thing they have for Christmas over there in Italy and Portugal. Portugal is here. That's their big feed Christmas time, eh? And we've got this nickname, house banking up here, because years ago the people had big families, like 12 to 16 children, and you couldn't run up to McDonald's like today or anything, right? And you had so much of this in the basement, put down in pickle, that they could take it out and bank the whole house with it, they used to say, eh? House banking. Okay? And then another thing you can do with it is go ahead and take this there fish after 14 days, take it out and put it on a fish flake. Ever see a fish flake? It's something like a hunter's lean-to. It's made out of poles and spruce boughs, eh? Looks like a hunter's lean-to and he's lost in the woods, okay? And you take it out and lay it on that on a sunny day like today with the wind blowing. But the wind got to be blowing, okay? A sunny day and wind. You might have heard on the radio sometimes the radio announcer says it's a good day for drying fish because it's sunny and it's blowing, eh? That's what he means, eh? Because if the wind stops, you got to bring your fish in because the sun will cook them, okay? You got to make sure you cover them up. If the wind stops, they'll bring them in. So you get a sunny day with the wind blowing. You bring them, put them out days, bring them in nights, and you might keep this up maybe for a week. And then we get exactly like the one, you had one here hanging on the wall. You get dehydrated and cured, eh? Okay? That was the real old way of doing it. Like my grandfather done it, and his father before him done that. He'd be going down to the Grand Banks for 3 months, take them home with the salted fish, eh? And he put them over there in the hill where they're playing golf now. There was one big fish place, the whole length of that hill. They weren't playing golf them days, eh? And after the fish was all dried, once it's dried and cured, it can't spoil, see? And then he'd sail them to the West Indies, eh? And when them people got them, he had to soak them for 3 days to get them to puff up again, eh? Okay? But that was more or less an excuse just to get down, eh? He was looking for. Because on the way home, he smuggled back a big load of black rum, eh? Because the people made more off the liquor problem than ever made off of the fish, eh? That's why you see these big houses standing in town today, eh? The last of all, the government clamped down on them, and they kept putting people in jail after all, so after all, they had to give it up, eh? Because if you was going to sea 3 months, and in jail a couple of months, after all, your wife would say, don't bother to come home at all, eh? So this is the big thing right here, the salt dried cod, eh?